Hi, it's Dr. Colberg again here at Anxiety Experts, hoping you will stay with us for a few minutes for our anxiety tip on school refusal in children and adolescents. Maybe you have a child that has refused school off and on since they were small, and you don't know what to do about it. You're afraid for the next school year to come around, or you're afraid on Sunday nights that Monday morning will again bring the I don't feel good, my head hurts, I have a tummy ache, then the inevitable crying or fit throwing before school, or refusal to attend school. There are many reasons why children might refuse school, only one of which is anxiety. But if it is anxiety, we can help. Welcome to our YouTube channel where you can get regular anxiety tips for yourself and the people you love. Don't forget to like and subscribe and pass on this tip to someone who may benefit. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're talking about why a child might refuse school. If it's related to anxiety, the child will complain of intrusive thoughts about bad things happening to them or someone they care about while they're at school. For example, the child may complain that they will be sick or vomit at school, or they might be afraid that some harm will come to their parents or their pets while they are at school. So the child believes they are protecting themselves either from their feared thoughts coming true or from their body sensations of anxiety themselves. The number one of which is nausea. So the child will often complain, I don't feel good, I feel sick. Their heart may be racing. When they're highly anxious, they may have a lot of tears. And so they may also say that they are sad or depressed, when in actuality, they are fearful that something bad may happen. The treatment for school refusal is exposure with response prevention therapy. In ERP, or exposure with response prevention therapy, the child and the parents learn that no amount of anxiety can be harmful. So the parent can stop believing that they are harming their child by sending them to school, and the child can come to understand that anxiety is temporary and harmless, and that if they do what they want to do anyway while they are anxious, it will get easier the next time because they're teaching their brain something new. With school refusal, the way the anxiety gets so high is first the child is allowed to leave the classroom when they are anxious and maybe go to the school counselor. This increases the frequency and intensity of their intrusive thoughts that bad things may happen if they're at school, and it confirms for the body and mind that their body sensations of anxiety, which are harmless, may have been too much for them or may have been harmful to their health, may have been dangerous. So we really want to interrupt this cycle, because the more a child obeys their anxiety, the cult leader, as we call it here at Anxiety Experts, the more the child obeys the cult leader, the more the parents obey the cult leader, the worse the anxiety gets, the more it grows. Every time we accommodate a child's avoidance behavior, we are feeding the monster and sending the message to them that they cannot cope with their harmless and temporary body sensations of anxiety. Maybe first they were refusing school once every few months or once a month, and then maybe they started leaving the classroom to calm down at the school counselor's office. Then maybe they got accommodations written into a 504 plan or an IEP that say that they can leave the classroom whenever they want or call home, and then they start coming home or staying home from school more and more often, and your child just keeps having a world that's ever shrinking. And that is because whenever we are following the anxiety monster, whenever we're obeying the cult leader as children or parents, the anxiety keeps growing out of control and will continue to keep the child isolated from their peers, their normal activities, until it's properly treated. So in order for the child to recover from school refusal, they need to get better at their anxiety. So all efforts to get rid of anxiety will grow it, and that's what they've been trying to do. So the two things that a child with school refusal is trying to get rid of is either their feared thoughts or their body sensations of anxiety themselves. Anxiety is worry and body sensations over what might happen that we have no evidence for. So the child who is refusing school is either afraid that something bad is going to happen to them, their relationships, or to someone they love while they're at school. So they will stay home to protect their parent from being in a car crash while they're at school, or an intruder coming into their home, or their pets being in a fire, or they will stay home because they're afraid that they'll be sick at school, they'll be very uncomfortable at school in some intolerable state that they imagine, or that something bad will happen to them at school in their relationships, or maybe they will choke or some other calamity will occur. And so the school refusal is the child obeying their feared thoughts, taking their thoughts very seriously, considering them very likely to come true, and also obeying their very uncomfortable body sensations of anxiety, which can't be harmful to them, but which feel dangerous. The number one of which is nausea or some GI symptoms, some stomach upset, also heart racing will be in there, or the feeling of the head pounding, derealization and depersonalization, shallow breathing, numbness and tingling, traveling pains, or tears. Anxiety always comes with lots of tears for children, and maybe even fit throwing because the child feels so distressed they do not know how to express or put words to the level of their discomfort. Of course, both the child and usually even the parent feel that these harmless and temporary body sensations may be dangerous to them, and so they tend to accommodate the behavior, allow the child to avoid the soccer game, the school, the party, etc. And then what the child learns is they couldn't have tolerated that. It would have been too much for them. They can't cope with their emotions. The adult needs to do that for them, and they need to stay home. So in exposure with response prevention therapy, the job of the therapist is to teach the child and the parents didactic lessons about how to go toward anxiety instead of away from it. So the child learns how to tell their body sensations to intensify so they can be over the peak and on the downward slope of the anxiety more quickly. They learn how to accept the presence of their feared thoughts without considering them to be threats, without considering them to be likelihoods, their only possibilities, and anxiety without evidence is false anxiety. So the child learns how to accept the presence of thoughts and even say, maybe that'll happen, maybe not. I'm gonna go on normally. I'm gonna do it anyway while I'm anxious, and let's see how it turns out. Let's see if something bad happens, instead of bleeding before we're even cut by taking precautions ahead of time that kids with lower levels of anxiety aren't taking. So another important aspect of exposure with response prevention therapy is the hierarchical way in which the therapist will require the child to go toward their feared situations. All children with school refusal have a hierarchy of exposures during exposure therapy, where they go into all the situations that scare them in a graduated and repeated manner so that they can conquer their fears. This way, by the time the child leaves 16 to 20 sessions of ERP, they are the master of their anxiety instead of a slave to avoidance or compulsions. So by the time a child or adolescent with school refusal has been treated with exposure with response prevention for 16 to 20 sessions, they are resuming a totally normal life. They are enjoying all of their activities that they previously avoided, and they really know how to deal with any new fears that come up that might try to take away their freedom to go where they want and do what they want, especially with regard to academics. Don't forget that when your child or adolescent needs help for school refusal, the exposure therapy course can be done all on telehealth from the comfort of your home, and we will involve you as parents. We will give you the words and train you in what to say and do when your child doesn't want to go to school or other places that they used to love to go. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll like and subscribe to our channel and pass this on to someone you care about who may benefit or whose child may need help in going to school successfully.